Good morning, good people. It is a good morning today. It's probably sure there was gonna be cold today. I'm not sure. Um, that's about that's a bit about the climate over here. It's getting that time of the year when it gets a little cold. So today I decided to share how I start a shot and work on a shot. So when I start, the first thing I do, I will have to get a dialogue, and then I'll bring it in TV Paint. The software that I use is called TV Paint, and then I'll play it. I'll play it, the dialogue.
I can do this.
Play it a couple times so I can have ideas.
I can do this.
Once I have played it a couple times and I have an idea of what I'm going to do, I'll start with fewer drawings. Like this scene, I only started with two drawings.
I can do this.
And then once I have those two drawings, I'll go back in. I'll add more connecting drawings so the scene makes sense.
I can do this.
And you can see at this moment, those drawings are a little rough, not really finished. That's what I usually do. But the thing that I try to do before I start adding connecting drawings, I want to make sure that the key drawings are they kind of feel almost finished.
I can do this.
So I have a good start. And then I add connecting drawings. So you can see like those drawings, they're going to start, falling. Sometimes I move the drawings that I started with around. You're going to see that.
I can do this.
So, and let me take the key drawings out.
I can do this.
And then at this phase, usually I'm deciding how many movements I want in a scene. And after I decide that, I go back in. So after this point, what I'm doing is called pose to pose. What I'm doing is I am deciding what I'm doing at this point, as I am just planning the drawing for the scene. So it is what's called pose to pose in straight ahead. I'm probably going to have to do a video about that to kind of elaborate a little bit about it. So, well, what that means is at this point, everything I'm doing, I am actually planning it. It's planned. Like it's one drawing that goes into the other drawing that I have planned at the beginning, and I'm just going from one drawing to the next, but it's planned, right? Now, when I pass this point, I add more drawing, and at this point, I try my best to add more drawing so that it's on fours, which means that it's 4 frames. It's every 4 frame. My bad, sorry. Every 4 frames there is a drawing. So at this point, when I get to this point, it's usually almost what it's going to be. It looks a little choppy, but you have, when you get to the point, you have a sense of what the scene is going to be. So I'm in place.
I can do this.
You can see it's a little chopped. But when I get to this point, I usually stop and I start adding things, like you can tell. So what I do is I go back in, and I can call this like a skeleton. It's a system I use. I actually learned that from Richard William. He's a very, very, very I can call him a genius in animation. He got a book called the Survival. I have it here. Let me yeah, the Animator Survivor Kit. It's a good book actually. If you were interested in animation, you should probably get it. It's a good book. So when you get here now, you can start to add more things. So like the first, like when we started, it was like pose to pose. Every pose is planned. It's one drawing from to another. Now when you get to this point, you can see when I play it, I try to exaggerate, for instance, the hair. Like you can see the
I can
hair,
do this.
how the hair here gets stretched.
I can do this.
So when you get to this point, you can now start adding things like anticipation, or you can start stretch the hair, or you can add blinks. Like you can see, like
I can do
I
this.
added a blink. Like when you go back to the first one, I don't think I had the blink first.
This.
There was no blink. So when you get to this point, when you got your drawings to like fours, like every four frames there is a drawing. Now you can start what's called straight ahead. You can start adding the acting. Like you can add, like you see, like here I added these hands. The fingers they start also acting. So this is at this point that you work on your acting. So there is no limit. You can add whatever you want.
I can do this.
If you see also, I try to my bad.
I can do
You can
this.
see if you look at I have a
I can
little
do it.
movement with the shoulders.
I can do this. I can do this.
And you see how she, like, how this is actually my little girl, my oldest kid. You can see how
I can do this. I can do this.
how she does her shoulders. She blinks, her hands, all these things. I added them when I got to this point. So if we were doing animation, it's really, excuse me, when you get to this point, you want to stay a little bit longer. Add as much, as we call it in Swahili, manjondro as you can. Just have fun, enjoy. And the other thing I want to share, if you wanted to work on some animation, like I've seen people saying, I don't know what to work on, or I don't have ideas. Like this idea, like my daughter came in my studio and she got a microphone and she just started recording things. And at that time, she was she was like 3. She just turned 3, I think. So she was into letters and spelling. This is a show I'm working on. It's about her spelling. It's very funny. So, and I asked her to spell a word, and she just went in, and we were just having fun. So if you wanna work on a show or a short, it's don't go too far. There are so many things in your surrounding, in your house, with your friends. You can always get a voice from somebody, or your kid, or your wife, your friend, your girlfriend, your best friend. It's easier to look around you and get inspired and be creative with everything that you have around you. So now when I got to this point, I added more stuff like the blink, the hands, and all those stuff. And when I'm done with this point, I usually just go back. I just go and I'll add more drawings and more in betweens.
I can do this.
And then when I'm done with this point, I look
I
at
can
it.
do this.
I like it. And then I'll go on top of it That's the good thing about TV Paint. So at every stage, I usually save a copy. So I can, because like right now, if I was working for, let's say I'm working for a client, like right now there is a deal that I'm negotiating. When I get that deal, the reason why it's very important to save at every stage. If you take the video, the finished project to a client, and they don't like a certain piece of the animation, you just come back in, you go back to the beginning, and you trace where that part is, and then you can go in slowly from like when you're on every 4 frame a drawing, and then you can start correcting whatever needs to be corrected. All right, after I'm done putting in between, I will that's the color. I will clean it up.
I can do this.
And then after I clean up, you can see it's just line. And then I'll just add color. So it's usually like at this moment, it's usually what's at this point is really it's not really hard. You're just tracing slowly. But it's a little tedious, but you're just tracing the drawing. So once you finish cleaning up, you add color.
I can do this.
And after you add color, usually at that moment you're done, and you bring the background in and you play it.
I can do this.
And that's how you do it. So what happens is like there are certain things, because like after you're done, I usually like to do some editing in Adobe Premiere. Let me bring it up. So you can add like some stuff, like you can add some things like you can see there is a shadow. You can add things like those.
I can do this.
And if you wanted, you can also add like certain things like the color, depends on what you want. And then when you're done,
I can do this.
And sometimes you have to go back in and add some sound effect and stuff. So pretty much at this point, you're almost done. You're just doing editing. And when I'm done with this point, I export the video, and you play it.
I can do this.
And after you play it, that's how it's done. I want next week, I am gonna start because I have divided this short that I'm working on with my daughter's voice. I have decided to work in 3 parts. So next week I'm gonna start the other part. I want to share the process of how I do it on this channel. So if you're interested, next week we're gonna be working on the next part. I usually get up at 3 in the morning, and I work until probably 7 or 7:30 or 8. So for the mornings that I'm gonna be getting up, we're gonna be working. I am gonna try to actually speed up those videos, maybe share 1 or 2 of the whole thing, because it might be boring, because I'm usually when I'm trying to figure out these scenes, I'm very quiet. But I'll make sure that it's a little better to watch, not just the whole thing and it's boring. All right, for those that I know, my name is Serge. This is Art by Serge. I started this channel because I want to share things I've learned over the years. I want somebody to at least condense all this suffering that I had to endure for years in maybe 1 year or even less if you come to my channel and you want to learn about animation or about life in general, because I do also share things about life. All right. Have a good day, and thank you for listening. Okay. See you tomorrow.